You were born a god. But from the moment you open your eyes, a system went to work to make sure you never remember that. They didn't need to put you in chains. They just needed you to forget who you are. The control isn't loud. It's quiet. It's the rules you never questioned. The beliefs you absorbed without asking. The dreams they told you to chase. All of it designed to shrink the infinite into something small, manageable, compliant. But deep inside, there's always been a hum, a pressure behind your thoughts, a silent knowing that this life isn't what it seems, and that you're more than what you were told. This video isn't here to give you another philosophy. It's here to pull the curtain back and remind you of what you already know, but were taught to forget. The God within you is real, and it's time to wake it up. You didn't just forget who you are. You were taught to forget. Every system you've ever trusted, from school to media to religion, was never neutral. It was designed with one purpose: to keep your divine nature buried under layers of obedience, fear, and distraction. The moment you could speak, you were given scripts about who you are, what's real, what's allowed, and what's impossible. You were handed stories about the world that made you small before you even had a chance to question them. And it worked, not because you were weak, but because you were open, curious, absorbing everything. And they knew it. From your earliest days in the classroom, the programming began. They called it education, but it was indoctrination masked behind grades and gold stars. You were taught to sit still, raise your hand, ask permission to express your own needs. They trained your body before they even touched your mind. And once your nervous system was trained into submission, they filled your head with history rewritten by conquerors, with science that denied the unseen, with literature that glorified compliance and ridiculed rebellion. Think back to what you were told. Follow the rules. Respect authority. Be realistic. Don't question. Don't dream too big. These weren't just harmless rules. They were the architecture of your cage. Even your parents, your teachers, the people who loved you most, they couldn't stop it because they were trapped inside the same system. They passed down the programming not out of malice, but because it was all they knew. It's not their fault, and it's not yours either, but it is your responsibility now, because the moment you see it, the spell breaks. But here's what they don't want you to know. This isn't just about social conditioning or broken systems. There's a war happening right now, not with guns or bombs, but with frequencies, with consciousness itself. And you're the battlefield. Every single day, you're being bombarded with signals designed to keep you in a low vibrational state. Your Wi-Fi, your phone, the fluorescent lights in every building, the constant electromagnetic pollution that surrounds you. It's not random. It's strategic. Because when your nervous system is constantly overstimulated, when your brain waves are scrambled, when your natural rhythms are disrupted, you can't access the higher states of consciousness that would reveal the truth. Scientists call it the Schumann resonance, the Earth's natural frequency at 7.83 hertz. This is the frequency your brain is designed to sync with. It's the frequency of deep healing, of spiritual connection, of expanded awareness. But the modern world has flooded your environment with artificial frequencies that pull you away from this natural state. They're literally jamming your connection to the divine. And the most insidious part? They've convinced you that this constant state of stress, anxiety, and mental fog is normal, that it's just part of being human. But it's not. It's part of being disconnected from your source. Let me tell you something that will shock you. Your body produces its own psychedelic compounds. Right now, as you're listening to this, your pineal gland is capable of producing DMT, the same compound that mystics use to access otherworldly states of consciousness. Your brain is literally a portal to higher dimensions. But here's the catch. It only works when it's clean. The average person's pineal gland is so calcified, so clogged with toxins, that it's essentially offline. And this isn't accidental. Every major corporation, every government agency, every institution that controls what you eat, drink, and breathe knows exactly what they're doing. They're not just making you sick. They're making you spiritually blind. Think about it. Why would they put fluoride in your water when multiple studies show it calcifies the pineal gland? Why would they approve thousands of food additives that disrupt your endocrine system? Why would they allow glyphosate, a chemical that literally kills the beneficial bacteria in your gut to be sprayed on the food you eat every day. Because your gut doesn't just digest food. It's your second brain. It produces 90% of your body's serotonin. It's directly connected to your vagus nerve, which controls your ability to feel safe, to trust your intuition, to access states of deep peace and connection. When your gut is destroyed, your spiritual perception is destroyed with it. They've turned your body into a prison for your consciousness. But here's the thing, you hold the key. What I'm about to share with you has been hidden in plain sight for thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians knew it. The Vedic sages knew it. The Gnostics knew it. Indigenous cultures around the world have preserved this knowledge through oral traditions, through sacred ceremonies, through symbols carved into stone. They all point to the same truth. You are not your body. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the eternal awareness that witnesses all of these things. And this awareness, this consciousness, is not separate from the source of all creation. It is the source of all creation, experiencing itself through you. But here's where it gets really interesting. These ancient traditions didn't just understand this philosophically. They developed precise technologies, not mechanical technologies, but consciousness technologies to activate this remembering. Sacred geometry, specific sound frequencies, breathwork patterns, movement practices, plant medicines, all designed to break through the veil and reveal your true nature. The Great Pyramid of Giza wasn't just a tomb. It was an initiation chamber. The stone chambers were precisely tuned to resonate at frequencies that would activate dormant DNA, open the third eye, and facilitate direct communication with higher intelligences. The Sanskrit mantras weren't just prayers. They were sound codes that could literally rewire your nervous system and unlock psychic abilities. And the most powerful part? You don't need to travel to ancient sites or learn dead languages to access this. The technology is built into your body. Your spine is the antenna. Your chakras are the receivers. Your breath is the activation key. Everything you need is already here. Right now, as you're listening to this, something is happening. You're not just receiving information. You're receiving a transmission, a frequency that's designed to activate dormant circuits in your consciousness. And the system knows this. That's why you might feel resistance. That's why part of you wants to dismiss this as fantasy or delusion. But notice what's happening in your body. Notice the tingling. Notice the expansion in your chest. Notice how your breathing has changed. That's not your imagination. That's your light body coming online. And here's what's really happened behind the scenes. Every time someone awakens to their true nature, it sends ripples through the collective consciousness. It weakens a spell that keeps humanity trapped in limitation. It cracks the matrix of control. And those who benefit from keeping you small, they feel it. They know their time is running out. That's why the awakening is accelerating. That's why more people are questioning everything. That's why the old systems are crumbling. Because consciousness is evolving. And you're not just witnessing this evolution, you're driving it. But the forces of control aren't going down without a fight. They're doubling down on the programming. They're amplifying the fear. They're creating more division, more distraction, more chaos. Because they know that united, awakened humanity is their greatest threat. This is why your awakening isn't just personal. It's planetary. Every time you choose truth over comfort, every time you choose love over fear, every time you remember who you really are, you're not just liberating yourself. You're liberating the collective. We're at a critical moment in human history. You can feel it. The old world is dying, and the new world is being born. And you have a choice to make. You can continue sleepwalking through someone else's dream, or you can wake up and start living your own. But let me be clear about what this choice really means. Awakening isn't a comfortable process. It's not about feeling good all the time. It's about feeling everything. It's about seeing the truth, even when the truth is ugly. It's about taking responsibility for your part in the collective suffering, and then doing something about it. When you wake up, you can't go back to pretending that everything is fine. You can't go back to participating in systems that harm others. You can't go back to living a life that's not aligned with your deepest values. The comfortable numbness is over. But here's what you get in return. You get your life back. Not the life they told you to want, but the life your soul came here to live. You get to experience reality at full resolution instead of through the filtered, distorted lens of programming. You get to access abilities you didn't know you had. You get to connect with other awakened beings who are building the new world. And most importantly, you get to fulfill your actual purpose. Not the purpose they assigned to you, but the purpose you chose before you incarnated. The reason you're here in this body at this time, in this reality. Because you didn't come here by accident. You came here as a volunteer. You came here to be part of the Great Awakening. You came here to help birth a new paradigm based on truth, love, and unity instead of lies, fear, and separation. So how do you actually do this? How do you wake up in a world that's designed to keep you asleep? How do you remember who you are when everything around you is programmed to make you forget? It starts with your daily choices. Every single decision you make is either feeding your awakening or feeding your programming. What you eat, what you drink, what you watch, what you read, who you spend time with, how you breathe, how you move your body, all of it matters. First, you have to detox. Not just your body, but your mind and your environment. Stop consuming mainstream media. Stop eating processed food. Stop surrounding yourself with people who drain your energy. Start filtering your water. Start breathing clean air. Start exposing yourself to natural light and natural frequencies. Then you have to start practicing. Meditation isn't optional. Breath work isn't optional. Some form of movement that connects you to your body isn't optional. These aren't just wellness practices. They're consciousness technologies. They're how you rebuild your connection to your divine nature. And you have to start questioning everything. Every belief you hold, every assumption you've made, every story you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible. Most of what you think you know is just programming. And the only way to break free is to examine it consciously. But here's the most important part. You have to start living differently. You can't just know this stuff intellectually. You have to embody it. You have to let it change how you show up in the world. You have to become the change you want to see. When you start living as a divine being you actually are, when you start operating from love instead of fear, when you start creating instead of consuming, when you start giving instead of taking, that's when everything shifts. Not just for you, but for everyone around you. Because here's what they don't want you to know. One awakened person can impact thousands. Your light doesn't just illuminate your own path. It illuminates the path for others. Your courage doesn't just free you. It gives others permission to be free. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, every time you speak truth in a room full of lies, every time you stand up for what's right even when it's difficult, you're creating a ripple effect that extends far beyond what you can see. The people who witness your transformation start to question their own lives. The people who feel your presence start to remember their own divinity. The people who see you living fearlessly start to examine their own fears. This is how the awakening spreads. Not through force or coercion, but through inspiration, through example, through the simple act of one person choosing to live as their highest self. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be some kind of guru or spiritual teacher. You just have to be real. You just have to be willing to walk the path, even when it's difficult. Because authenticity is revolutionary in a world built on illusion. Truth is radical in a world built on lies. Love is dangerous in a world built on fear. Just by being yourself, your real self, not the programmed version, you become a force for transformation. And this is all leading somewhere. This isn't just about personal awakening. This is about collective transformation. We're not just changing ourselves. We're changing the world. Imagine a world where every human being knows their divine nature, where every child grows up understanding that they are infinite consciousness having a temporary human experience, where every institution is designed to support human flourishing instead of human suffering. Imagine a world where we work with the earth instead of against it, where technology serves consciousness instead of enslaving it, where we measure success by how much love we create instead of how much stuff we accumulate. This isn't fantasy. This is the world we're building. Right now, every person who wakes up, every person who chooses love over fear, every person who remembers their divinity, they're laying the foundation for this new reality. And you're part of this. You're not just a witness to this transformation. You're a co-creator. Your awakening matters. Your choices matter. Your presence on this planet at this time matters more than you know. The old world is ending. The new world is beginning. And you get to decide which reality you're going to participate in creating. So I'm going to leave you with this. Stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to be who you really are. Stop waiting for the right time, the right circumstances, the right level of certainty. Stop waiting for the system to change or for others to wake up first. The time is now. The person is you. The divine being you've been searching for outside yourself is inside you all along, just waiting for you to stop looking everywhere else and start looking within. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are not a powerless observer of your own life. You are the creator of your reality, the author of your story, the artist of your experience. The God within you is not a metaphor. It's not a concept. It's not a belief. It's a living reality that wants to express itself through you. And all you have to do is get out of the way. Stop playing small. Stop dimming your light. Stop apologizing for who you are. The world needs you at full power. The world needs your gifts, your truth, your love, your unique expression of the divine. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your awakening. The God within you is calling. Are you ready to answer?